I stood frozen in my ing room, staring at the certified letter in my hands, my heart pounding like a drum. The words on the page hit me like a slap. An official HOA complaint claiming I had reported my neighbors, the Sharmas, for illegal home modifications and disrupting the neighborhood. Me? Snitching on the Sharmas? They were the kindest people on the block, always while VYing hello and keeping their place spotless. I flipped to the last page, and my stomach dropped. There it was, me signature. Except it wasn't mine. Someone had scrawled a sloppy, cocky forgery that didn't even come close to my neat handwriting. The nerve of it made my blood boil. Who would dare drag me into this petty drama? And why? I'd only been in Willow Creek Estates for 3 months, drawn to its pristine lawns and quiet streets. As a contract lawyer, I liked rules when they were fair, and this place seemed to have them in spades. The Sharmas had welcomed me with a plate of warm pakoras and tips about the best local spots. They'd even shown me their HOA-approved plans for a backyard deck, beaming with pride. Their 2 teenage boys sometimes shot hoops in the driveway, but they always packed it up by the 8 p.m. noise curfew. No trouble there. Then there was Linda Harper, the HOA VYC president. She'd swooped in the second my MOVYing truck pulled up, thrusting a thick binder of regulations into my hands. "We keep things pristine here," she'd said, her smile tight, her eyes scanning my boxes like she was hunting for violations. "I make sure everyone follows the rules. I hope you're not one to bend them, Michael." I nodded, but her part busybody, part dictator put me on edge. Now, holding this fake complaint, it all started clicking. Linda had been dropping snide remarks about the Sharmas for weeks. "Such a pity about those spicy cooking smells," she'd muttered loudly while speed-walking past me one evening. Another time, she'd interrupted me chatting with Mr. Sharma about his deck plans, saying, "I hope that project won't be too disruptive, her voice dripping with disdain. I could feel the gears turning in my head. This had Linda written all over it. The next morning, I was watering my perfectly trimmed lawn when Mr. Sharma walked over, his usual smile replaced by a worried frown. "Michael, can we talk?" he asked. "We got a sanctions notice from the HOA. They say you saw a complaint about our deck and our boys playing basketball." His wife stood in their driveway, watching us, her hands clasped tightly. I shook my head, my jaw clenched. "I didn't file anything, Raj. Someone's using my name. I'll fix this." Relief flickered across his face, but he still looked confused. "Why would anyone do this?" he asked. I glanced down the street at Linda's flawless house, her car sporting a custom Hope 1 license plate. "I've got a hunch," I said, my voice low. That afternoon, I marched into the HOA office, my lawyer instincts on high alert. The administrator, a twitchy guy named Carl, tried to stall. "Complaints are confidential between the board and the parties," he mumbled. I leaned in, GIVYing in my best courtroom stare. "Since I'm supposedly the one who filed it, I have every right to see what I wrote. Unless the board's hiding something shady." Carl caved fast, handing over the file. Why red made my skin crawl. The complaint wasn't just a forgery, it was VY accusing the Sharmas of constant disruptions from said foreign kids and cooking odors that lower property values. The deck was called an ugly, unapproved structure ruining the neighborhood's charm. This wasn't just petty. It was fraud, identity theft, maybe even defamation. Who submitted this? I demanded. Carl squirmed. "It came through Vice President Harper. She said you talked to her about your concerns, but were too busy to file it yourself. Said you'd be grateful she handled it." Grateful? So my mind raced, but I kept my cool. Note in the file that I'm disputing this entirely. I never authorized it, and I have no issues with the Sharmas. For the next 2 weeks, I played detective. At an HOA meeting, Linda wouldn't even look at me. Her usual swagger dialed down. I dug through old complaint records, spotting a pattern of similar nasty phrasing in others she'd filed. A neighbor, hesitant at first, admitted, "Linda's pulled this before. She likes to make it seem like everyone's on her side, even when no one's complained." The real breakthrough came at a coffee shop, where I ran into Greg, a former HOA board member who'd quit. Over lattes, I brought up the forgery. He sighed, unsurprised. "That's why I left. Linda makes her own rules. She once told me you have to create consensus to keep standards high. Oh, and she mentioned you at my last meeting, said you'd thank her later for keeping the place orderly. That was it. Game over. As a lawyer, I knew Linda had crossed serious line: forgery, fraud, false representation, all felonies. I spent the weekend crafting a legal dossier, complete with a forged complaint, my real signature for comparison, and statement from neighbors she'd targeted before. On Monday, I called an emergency HOA meeting, inviting the Sharmas and other homeowners for transparency. Linda strutted and laughed, her confidence wavering when she saw the crowd. "What's this about?" she snapped, claiming her seat like a throne. "It's about fraud, Linda," I said, sliding my dossier to each board member. "Specifically, you forging my signature on a complaint against the Sharmas." Her face went white, but she rallied fast. "This is a misunderstanding. You must have forgotten our talk about the basketball noise and those cooking smells." I cut her off, my voice sharp. "We never had that talk. And I'd never used the racist garbage in that complaint." Turning to the board president, I laid it out. "I'm requesting a full investigation, a retraction of the Sharma sanctions, and a litigation hold on all records. CIVYL and criminal charges may follow." Linda scoffed, but her bravado was cracking. "You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just a neighborhood issue. Forgery's a felony in this state." I shot back, calm but deadly serious. "So, is identity theft and filing false documents? As a lawyer, I don't take that lightly." Her eyes widened. "You're saw lawyer saw?" "Yes, Linda. Contract law. I'm real sensitive to fake signatures and lies." The room went silent, her confidence collapsing like a house of cards. The board president stammered, "Can we discuss this privately?" I nodded, but dropped the hammer. "Sure, but I've already filed police reports for forgery and identity theft. This is your chance to clean house before it gets worse." The next few days were chaos. The HOA, spooked by legal liability, moved like lightning. They canceled the Sharma's sanctions, issued a public apology, and suspended Linda pending investigation. She swung between sobbing apologies and defiant rants, claiming she was protecting the community and that I'd see her side once I'd lived here longer. But the police were already closing in. Forensic experts confirmed the signature was fake, and detectives traced the document to Linda's HOA office computer sloppy work for someone so smug. A week later, I was working from home when I heard shouting outside. Peeking through my blinds, I saw two cops at Linda's door, her voice rising in a shrill panic. "This is absurd. I was safeguarding property values." Neighbors started gathering, drawn by the drama. As the officers led her to the patrol car, Linda spotted me on my porch. Her face twisted with rage. "You," she screamed. "I was helping you. You'd have thanked me when this place didn't turn into some chaotic marketplace." I didn't flinch, just watched as they loaded her into the car, still yelling. A cop stopped by to confirm I'd testify if needed, then drove off with Linda fuming in the back seat. 3 weeks later, I sat in the courtroom for her preliminary hearing. The prosecutor laid out an airtight case. Linda had forged at least 6 other complaints over 2 years, targeting anyone who didn't fit her VY shown of perfect. The judge wasn't buying her lawyer's plea for leniency, citing her calculated, repeated deceit. Linda got 18 months of probation, a due law $15,000 fine, and 200 hours of community service. As the gavel fell, she stood there, stunned, whispering, "But I was just keeping standards." For the first time, reality hit her. Her HOA power trip had landed her a criminal record. The Sharmas and I are tighter than ever now, sharing laughs over pakoras and basketball games. Willow Creek feels lighter without Linda's iron grip. But her outburst claiming she was helping mess still echoes. Was she a control freak gone rogue? Or did she really think she was SAVYing the neighborhood? What do you think? Should HOAs have this much power over our lives? Was Linda a VY lane or just misguided? And how far would Saw You Saw go to protect your community's standards? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story got your blood pumping. And subscribe for more wild tales where justice gets served.